Good day and welcome to another Monday episode of A Week at the Plot. Yesterday we had snow, as you may remember, and I got ridiculously excited. Overnight it was cold, but there was no more snow. We had about 3 inches of snow in total yesterday. The sun is out. I'm going to spin you around in a minute, and the sun is out and it's glorious today. However, that has obviously given the opportunity for some of the snow and ice to melt. And when I was coming down to the plot in the side streets that get very little sun at this time of year, the melt has already frozen and has become very icy. So you do need to be careful walking on the roads and pavements around here and anywhere, of course. Yes, the sun is out. It's absolutely glorious. Let me just show you what it's like. This is the view from my shed door at the moment. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of snow, but nothing like many of you get, particularly in the US and Canada. But the beds are still covered in snow. I'm not going to do any work on that beetroot bed, which is the one over here, today. It's lovely to see these shards of garlic coming through, and also over here some onions. And I'm so glad that I did get this bed done last week, or the week before, in fact, I think it was. So I'm just making a few notes in the shed today. Not a huge amount to do out there. I've noticed that if I can just swing you around, maybe you can see that Fenella or Felicity or Brush have been along the path. At least I know they use the stepping stones, which is quite good. But yeah, I do want to show you the other or the gift that I was given the other day, the one that a fellow plot holder at the garden centres brought for me to use. Let's just go outside and I can show you. This is what he brought. They're stands that they use at the garden centre to put plants onto or something. Anyway, I'm not quite sure how they work because there doesn't seem much space to put in there, but anyway, they're no longer wanted at the garden centre, and they're about, what are they? They're about 5'8". Let me just go over there. I'm 5'8". Let's see how tall they are. Yes, so actually they are about 5'8". What I thought is these would be good to grow things up this year. Pumpkin is what I mean, pumpkin and squash. And what I thought is I could put a post into the ground at the corners at the back. Put a post into the ground. I've got some tannalized posts spare. And then tie this to the posts, which would give nice rigidity, because there's no way of getting these into the ground unless we use a rebar along the front here and the back, which we don't have, so we wouldn't use a bent rebar. But I think I'm going to do that, and then if I mean, look at the butternuts we had last year, they were absolutely terrible. But if they do grow above this height, then what I can do is add some bamboo or some other structure at the side to make this even higher. But you know what? I think 5'8" will do for now. Oh, and look, there's the compost. There's some just down here. And there's also some multi-purpose compost over here. Peat-free. As you know, we always endeavour to get peat-free, and have been able to in the last couple of years, always, which is fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. and I will see you again. Hopefully we'll be doing a little bit of work. I suppose it depends on the snow, really. Maybe we'll just be turning compost. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Do watch our Grow Along series playlist on YouTube, and obviously do comment below or ask questions, and we will get back to you. Bye. Good day. Obviously, we still have snow. We haven't had any more snowfall since that snowfall on Sunday morning and into early Sunday afternoon. But we also haven't had enough of a rise in temperature at the moment for the snow to have melted. What seeing the snow on the surface yesterday did remind me of is the fact that every couple of months I'm pricking the base of the garlic and the onions beds, because garlic and onions don't like being in wet soil. They like being in well-drained soil and weed-free soil. So I need to get on my hands and knees and weed at some point when I can. But what I've done is to ensure that that water drains through. I've got my fork and I've gone down the lines between the garlic and between the onions and put in holes to a fork's depth from the top of the surface. If you've been watching us for a while, you'll know that these two beds I completely redid maybe 3 months ago before the onions went in. And they were forked over to a fork's depth. All the perennial weeds of Cinquefoil and Couchgrass and Bindweed, not too much Couchgrass, was taken out. And then I put 3 layers of cardboard down. I put the edge beds back on top, and then I refilled everything with the compost I had taken out. Now what that has done is, by laying that cardboard down, obviously it is stopping weeds coming up. That's the point of it. What it's also doing, to some extent, and to enough of an extent to do what I have done here, is it's stopping water draining down. Yes, that compost is wet, and yes, the moisture will trickle through. But at the moment, with so much snow that is going to defrost, and with heavy rains due over the coming months, because we often have heavy rains in January, February and March, the water could have a propensity to sit on top of that cardboard before the cardboard decomposes. So it will sort of create a puddle, or potentially create a puddle on top of the cardboard. So what I'm doing every month is I'm forking through, like you've just seen now. What that is doing is puncturing the cardboard, and it's allowing for any water that will then gather on top of that cardboard to perforate down, go through those holes and go into the soil to give better drainage. So that's what I've done today. When this snow melts, there's going to be quite a bit of water going into that soil. So not having it sitting on top of the cardboard and having those holes in it so that the water can drain through those holes quicker than if it was just seeping through the 3 layers of cardboard is, in my opinion, a really good idea. I'm going to leave it there. See you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day and welcome to this Wednesday segment of A Week at the Plot. Yesterday, as you will have seen, I hope, I put the fork down, our big fork, down the whole length of the garlic and the onion bed, between the garlics and between the onions 5 times, because there's 6 rows of garlic and onions in there, making holes in the bottom of that cardboard so that water wouldn't puddle on top. I'm so glad I did that yesterday. Last night we had rain. Of course, the rain has melted all the snow, and that rain has gone into the compost here. And if I hadn't done that, I think there would have been some puddling on top of that cardboard. So I'm so pleased I did that yesterday. Yesterday was one of those days, shall I do it today? Shall I do it tomorrow? No, get on and do it today, Paul. So I'm so glad I did it today, i.e. yesterday, because tomorrow, i.e. today, I'm really happy about it. Another thing I'm really happy about is a gift we have received from one of our subscribers of a windowsill propagator unit. Now, this is something we would not have bought for ourselves, but I had a look at it. Patricia, thank you very much, Patricia, suggested she wanted to buy us one of these. And I had a look at it online, and you know what? For once, I think that's really good value and that would be beneficial. Let me show it to you. So this is it. You will have seen in a previous video we made our own homemade propagator for our aubergines out of 3 mushroom carton containers, field mushroom cartons. This is just, I think, really, really good value. It's from White Furs is the name. If you have a wide windowsill, it will fit on top. Each of these lids obviously comes off. And there are 3 trays with holes in. And then there's your gravel tray here without holes in. And you know what? This is £9.75. So less than a tenner, including postage in the UK. I think it's well built. I think it's going to last. And I think it's really, really good value. I think I looked at these about a year ago, but didn't go for them. But you know what? Now I've seen them, I really think these are good value. They're going to last for a good number of years. They're decent, sturdy plastic. So if you aren't going to be making your own homemade propagator like we have done with our aubergines, and you're looking for something like this that might fit on a wide windowsill, I would certainly recommend these. Let me see if I can find the dimensions on here. No, the dimensions aren't on here. But I reckon that's about, I reckon these are 22. I reckon that's about 55, 60 centimeters. So I think these are just under 20 centimeters each, maybe just over. And if that's 20 centimeters, what's that? And about 18 wide. If I can find out the measurements online, I'll put a link to them when this goes up on YouTube. But you know what? I think that's terrific value for 10 quid, and it's going to last a good number of years. I don't normally recommend buying plastic for the allotment or for the garden, but when it's sturdy like this and you have the money, it's worth the investment. Okay, I'll leave it there for today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. It's quite a breezy day today. The sun is coming out and then it's going in. So at points it's really grey and at other points it's really sunny. But the good thing is it's quite mild for this time of year. It's 11, 12 degrees at the moment. And I don't have my big fleece on because the work I'm going to be doing today, I don't think I need it. Certainly at the moment I'm sort of nice and warm. There are two beds that I want to sort. One is the fennel bed and the other is the beetroot bed. I'm going to crack on with the fennel bed and we'll see how far we get. This fennel is looking pretty dilapidated now. Quite a lot of has browned with the snow and all the rain, and some of the stalks have broken over, have broken and gone over, and are browning as well. But there are some, I don't know if you can see here, there's some new growth on this one. There's new growth at the back here, and those stalks can easily be cleaned and the fronds can be used as well, and they will be great for flavouring soups and stews. They might not give a lot of substance, but they'll give a good bit of flavour. At either end, we have Giant of Italy parsley, which again, you can see is sort of browning off. It's looking a bit the worse for wear because of the snow that we've had. However, there's lots of new growth coming up in the middle, and I'm going to be leaving those in. But everything else I'm going to clear. So we've got Giant of Italy at the end here. We've got Giant of Italy, which is hidden right at the end here. But I'm going to take everything else out of this bed and get it prepared for the next things, which are going to be parsnips. Not quite yet though. We've got a while off before we sow parsnips. So the fennel is now out. I've lifted up the leaves of the giant Italian parsley at either end, or on the inside of either end, this side of either end, and just checked to see if there's any weeds under there, and there were some coming up, so I've taken those out as well. What I'm going to do now is lay cardboard on top of this bed for two reasons in this case. One, I don't want the soil here to become too compacted with rain, because we're going to be putting parsnip seed into here and that doesn't like compacted soil. And two, in this bed, because we're going to have close grown carrots and parsnips in the season to come, I want to make sure that it's as weed free as possible. You may have do other beds where I put chicken manure pellets down at this stage. Because we're doing carrots and parsnips in this bed, I'm not doing that because they don't like soil that is too nutritious. That's that job done. Just one layer of cardboard. The cardboard isn't going to have any compost on top. It's just as a topper, as I say, to keep some of that warmth in and keep weeds down. So that's my job for today. As you can see, the sun has come out, which is absolutely lovely. It's now 12:30. I think I'm going to go home and have some lunch, and maybe I'll be back later or maybe tomorrow. Bye. This is the beetroot bed, and there are also turnips in here, but most of the turnips have gone. In fact, most of the beetroot have gone. I think there's most probably about 8 or 10 in here that we'll be taking out. But as you can see, there's quite a lot of weed in here. And there's also that dreaded Cinquefoil, which is the wild strawberry plant. So what I'm going to do is fork this all over to a fork's depth. So first of all, I'm going to remove the beetroot, then I'm going to remove the weeds by hand, and then I'm going to fork everything over to a fork's depth. Here we have some dandelion, which will have quite a taproot. A taproot is a root that goes down a long way. If you think parsnips are effectively taproots, they go right down to tap nutrients and water, and that's exactly what these dandelions do as well. Time to start work on this bed. That's all the beetroot out, and turnips, which are, or the ones that we can use, are in here. Try and remember to give a shot of those later, but they're mainly red beetroot, and there is a small celeriac and some turnips. Now I'm going to get on my knees with a hand fork and take out as many of the deeper rooted weeds as I can. See, that's root, that's plant. This is Cinquefoil, and it's a member of the strawberry family, so it has these long runners, and at each point these can root. These shoots can root at each point. You can see, maybe you can see the root there. You really want to get that out because that will take hold. We also have bindweed, which is completely different. It's a grass, completely different. But again, you can see how it travels below the ground, and there, that's where that is growing. So good to get all of those out. As hopefully you can see, this is now well hand weeded. I've still left some labels in there which I need to take out. I hadn't noticed that. What this has given me an opportunity to do is really get my hands into the soil and see the structure and the makeup and the moisture in the soil, and it's really great. So this is compost we got last year from Ealing Riding Stables, and also this bed had some of our hot bin compost on it as well, and the actual structure of the soil is really good. Now looking at this, it is a significant improvement on what we had before. However, I know that the job is actually 2/3 done. What I now need to do is get my large fork and fork all of this over to a fork's depth. That way I'm going to get out more of the really pernicious Cinquefoil and Couchgrass roots that I know are sitting between 4 and 10 inches down.
So this has all now been forked over to a fork's depth. Yes, I've disturbed quite a lot of worms as I've been doing that, but you know what? Disturbing the worms now is better than me being disturbed with growing weeds that I can't do anything about over a growing season. I've dragged some of the soil back to level it a little bit, but I'm not leveling it off fully because those worms are now making their way down into the soil. So I'm going to leave this for a day. So I'm leaving it overnight, and then tomorrow I will get my rake and just rake it relatively flat. We are no dig here. This is a no dig bed. The 3 layers of cardboard that we put down under all of these beds were not enough to stop the pernicious weeds of Cinquefoil, Couchgrass and Bindweed coming through in the past growing season. And remedial work has been done on these beds, though much more than on this bed. So this is a bit of a trial. In these onion and garlic beds, we took out all of the compost, removed the edging of the beds, forked through to a fork's depth, put 3 layers of cardboard back on top, put the beds back on top, then refilled with the compost. This one, as you've seen today, we've just weeded it really well and forked over to a fork's depth. So we'll see how weeds in this bed compared to weeds in these beds. Whenever you do this, you're going to turn seeds from weeds up onto the surface of the soil, and when they see the light of day, they'll think, yay, we can grow. And that's what's happened in this bed with the onions over here. But most of those weeds can just be taken out by hand, and that's going to be a job for my weekend. But that is it now. This job is sort of done, apart from the raking flat tomorrow, once the worms have gone deeper into the soil. So this is all remedial work on a no-dig bed. Right, we'll leave it there, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.
Good day. Though actually it's really wet, really wet. I came down just to check the site, see if there was any standing water. And actually there is standing water on our site where there isn't normally standing water. We're okay on this top bank here, and the allotments, if you like, run, the top of them run this way behind me, sort of in line with my head. And then there's a sort of step down, and the next ones are about a foot below us. And I think there's most probably a 4 foot, 5 foot difference between the very top of the plot. In fact, the very top of the plot, there's most probably that goes up about 1.5 feet. So most probably about 6 feet difference. But in the next lot of plots down from my plot here, there's usually very, very little standing water when we've had lots of rain. But today, all of those plots have got standing water on them. There's a sort of clay slab that runs about maybe 30 meters from me. And I think it's hit that clay slab, and because the river levels are really high, which surrounds our allotment site, that water has just sort of sat there above the clay. And also, because the water level is so high, the water that is running down isn't running into the river. So the water that is running down the plot through our drainage system is not going into the river where it normally would, because the river is so high that the flaps have shut to stop the river water coming onto the plot. But obviously what that does is it stops our water leaving the site. So unusually there's an awful lot of standing water here. We're not flooded. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, sometimes when we have high river levels because of flash flooding, in our area, water does come onto the plot from the bottom. It
it goes over the bank and it comes down. But that's only a very particular time of the year, and this time it's all about lots and lots of water. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to see how the site was, and I now know that we're going to need to do some remedial work on the drainage system. So we're going to have to rod the drainage system, because of course if there's water that can't get out, it's the silt that is in that water is going to lay to the bottom of the drainage pipes, not irrigation, but the drainage system that we have here. The silt will go to the bottom, and if the water's not flowing, it will just stay there. So what we're going to have to do is make sure that we rod the drainage system in the spring, maybe before then. I've just spoken to one of our plot holders who used to be the chair when this allotment was under the Ealing Council management, which is quite a few years ago now. And he's been here, I think, 35, 40 years, something like that. And he said to me just now, I haven't seen this amount of water this far up on the site as standing water. So he hasn't seen it in his 35, 40 years, and I haven't seen it in my 4, 5 years. So yeah, remedial work to be done. But you know what? That's fine. You know, it's good to know those jobs are there and those jobs can be done. So I'm going to go home now and have a cup of tea. I also made a cake this morning. I made a rich fruit cake with ale, and I think I'll be having some tea and a slice of cake. Anyway, I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. Really pleased to have got this job done. Hand weeding of the garlic, which is the closer bed, and the onions, which is the bed further away. Of course, by weeding, what we're doing is we're taking out small plants and their roots. And again, those roots will be taking up water and nutrients, not only from the growing garlic, but what that also means is that there's more moisture in the soil because of those roots than we might want. So the soil will be damper than it will be now, having done the weeding. So that's another good reason to take out weeds around your onions and garlic. A, they don't like being crowded out. B, leave the nutrients in the soil for your onions and the garlic. And C, by taking out the weeds, you're taking out those fibrous roots of the weeds that will be holding moisture in the soil, because onions and garlic like being well drained. Right, we're going to leave it there, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye.